So this is going to be me planning out my 2014 reading and other calendar. So the first week of January, fortuitously, very fortuitously, it starts on a Monday. January 1st is a Monday. Now, I recently read in somewhere online that indeed Monday is the internationally accepted first day of the week. I've always felt like Monday was the first day of the week. You might say, well, it's just sort of a designation, and it may just be a designation, but it's felt powerful enough that it feels like either it may be a truer interpretation of the designation, or it may just be something like more spiritually ingrained than you might think. But it feels like Monday is the first day of the week, and this whole Sunday is the first day bullshit. Apparently it is BS. So not long after I saw that, and saw that some website said that Monday was the internationally accepted first day or something, I see that this upcoming year, and I think I saw that this month, maybe in the last 5 days or so, this new year is going to start on a Monday. So it's I thought to say a big reset, which has a bad connotation, probably rightfully so, but it does feel like a good reset. January 1st, we're starting the year fresh off on the first day is the first day. First day of the year is the first day of the week. And so I'm starting off strong with Atlas Shrugged. So week 1, January 1st through 7th, I plan to read Atlas Shrugged that week by Ayn Rand, or Ayn Rand, not sure. I've been interested in that book for a long time, and I felt sort of drawn to it. And so, I'm saying I may indeed still have my 7-book reading list going, or hopefully down to less than 7 books at that point, possibly so. I may still be reading through the Rabbit Angstrom books, but that's going to be the book that I'm scheduling to finish for the week. And the thing is, as I read more, I think I will find that I'm spending more time reading more, and then I think I may also find that I am reading faster in general, and so I am reading more in shorter time to begin with. I think that may be what happens. And so in that sense, I think it might not be super outrageous to read Atlas Shrugged within a week, and then also be reading other stuff. I also had the idea to read all of Stephen King's short story collections in full, all of the major ones, the 6 major ones so far, before his new short story collection comes out. I am so thrilled. A new Stephen King short story collection to me feels like a new Eminem album. It's just a visceral, animal thrill. It's just it's so great. I'm not sure what else would be as exciting to me in the world. A Quentin Tarantino movie coming out, that would be similar. That might be the movie version. You might say, well, what about a PTA movie? Paul Thomas Anderson? Oh, I love going and seeing his new movies when they come out. Licorice Pizza was so good. It was a little creepier than his previous great movies. It felt a little bit like maybe plotting or something with the Tom Waits scene that was Sean Penn in it as well. And then also with Bradley Cooper, who was funny. He was funny in that movie, but it also just felt a little bit a little bit thin, or a little bit cardboard, I'd say. But I loved
the main characters in that movie so much, and like one of the greatest scenes of all time probably was the main character who looked a little Donald Trumpy in like a really satisfying way. The main character, this like sort of like late teen 17-year-old boy or however old he is, I don't even know exactly how much time passes in the movie, but this main character who's very entrepreneurial and he's always going around starting these little business ventures, and like his like 22 or 23-year-old like sort of girlfriend type character, and she's sort of like following him around, or like she's sort of getting involved in what he's doing, and um I'm sure he takes a lot of encouragement from her being around, but at one point um she's like talking to him, like she's had it up to here with him or something, and like he's sitting there like he's he's like, let me smoke that cigarette or something, or I don't know, or maybe he pulls out a pack of cigarettes himself, and like he's just being like rebellious, and she's like, oh, big man, and he says like, I am, or something he says, like basically she says something kind of mockingly, and then he just kind of turns around and says it like very straightforwardly and like very confidently, and it's like it's such a great movie, and it feels like so uh, it feels like you're really spending some time with some driven people, and it's just really awesome. But when Paul Thomas Anderson releases the next movie, I don't know if I'm just gonna be like so like breathlessly excited for it. Like I was pretty breathlessly excited for The Master, seeing that, and it was awesome. Oh, The Master, so good. But anyway, this new Stephen King collection, I'm pretty breathlessly excited for it. Comes out, I think, May 19th. I think it might be. Of course, it would be a 19. I wonder if all of his books come out on the 19th. That's sort of a number that he talks about in the series The Dark Tower. But yeah, it's cool. And apparently, he sold like the screenplay rights to the Dark Tower to whomever it was for like $19. He's very ritualistic about the 19. And I think when the movie The Dark Tower came out, I think I saw it the first day in the first showing that it was available like right near me, and I think it came out in 2019. No, I think it came out in 2018 or 17 actually. It came out, but it was at 7:19 that the movie started, and I think 7 is like the 19th hour. Yeah, so it was at 19:19. It might have been on the 19th too. Whatever it was, like they started the movie at 19. It was like that's some fucking sway. That's some fucking sway that the movie theater is starting it at like the what Matt McKinley might refer to as like the spooky numerology thing that Stephen King seems to be wanting to be doing. Okay, so here I am swooping in for the second part of this episode, and it's actually, yeah, I think the planning stages for next year, it's actually going well. So this is sort of like a rough edition of some of my calendar for 2024 reading wise. So I'm thinking of doing like a poet focus each month, where I guess I'll read a poem a day, like a different poem each day by a given poet. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. And then I'm going to do a fiction book, in this case at least, followed by a nonfiction book, and then followed by an off week, and then followed by a short story collection for the books, for like books of the week. So the first week of January 2024, it's going to be Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, and so that's the book that I am planning to get done in 1 week, start to finish. And then so there'll be each month it seems might be good to have fiction and then nonfiction and then a short story collection for the books. And I guess, the fiction that's not short story would be, a novel or something. Um, Potentially a collection of novellas, because unless that would fit into the short story collection, it's like, well, then how would you ever get a collection of novellas in there? You might say, well, how would you get a book of poetry in there? I thought while saying this actually that some months I might switch that out for a book of poetry. Like, probably not a collected poems, that might be a little ambitious, just given the pace of reading poetry and just, the labor-intensive nature of it. It's like, if Robert Frost's collected poems, it's pretty thick, but it might just be like 500-something pages long, and it's like, but it's a lot to get through, I would imagine, if you were just going right through it. Probably be a pretty powerful experience. You might feel like you're sort of like backed up a little bit after that, like energetically or emotionally or something. But yeah, so first week it's going to be Ayn Rand with Atlas Shrugged. Second week is the nonfiction week. It's going to be James Murphy with The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, or The Power of the Subconscious Mind or something. Dr. James Murphy, I suppose. And then the off week is the third week. And then the fourth week is going to be Nightmares and Dreamscapes by Stephen King. I'm going out of order if I don't end up getting Night Shift finished before then, although maybe that would be a good aim to have. But I would like to read Stephen King's short story collections leading up to the new one in full, leading up to the new one in time. So, Nightmares and Dreamscapes, that's his third collection, I believe, and I remember some interesting ones in there. I listened to a reading of one of them, I think, from this collection on audio, at least one of them, somewhat recently, like in the past few months on YouTube, and it was cool. Although I wouldn't recommend listening to audiobooks on YouTube because of all the things where it seems like, you're sort of taking money out of someone's hands or out of someone's pocket by like posting an audiobook, and then someone can listen to it there rather than pay for it. Audiobook seems like, at least with bands, most bands or some bands tend to do concerts and make money. They just gaining the popularity is like a particular thing, and I guess gaining the popularity might be a good thing for the author. That's one thing to think about, because what if you end up then going out and buying like 3 books physical copy? That's, it's not nothing. Have 1,000 people do that, maybe they'll get more sales than they would have otherwise, the author of whatever audiobook it is. But it's just a shame to see like a whole audiobook and it's like clearly not from the publisher, and like it's just clearly like putting out something that would otherwise cost probably like $10 or $20 or something, or $25.99 for the files of or whatever, and then you're just, then you're going to go and listen to the audiobook. Now, I will say, if it is put out by the publisher, or it's like the Master Key Society where they read books, it seems like either they have the rights to them or the books might be in the public domain, or both. But, it seems like they're pretty legit. It would be disappointing to find out. I may feel disappointed if I were to find out that the Master Key Society on YouTube was actually just like illegally putting up readings of books that were still under copyright, and like people were mad about it. It's like, that doesn't go with the sort of wisdom and spiritual message you have there. So though, then for my fiction book of February, I thought to do something with a little romance or something, so I did For Whom the Bell Tolls by Ernest Hemingway. I've loved much of, or most of, the Hemingway I've read so far, the Hemingway books I've read so far, and short stories and stuff. I've probably got a good chance of loving this as well, too. And nonfiction, it's Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. I've been meaning to read that, and I'm no statist, and I sort of quickly flitted through identification with Jordan Peterson's views on things, and but nevertheless, he has interesting things to say, and he's smart, and like the book seems to be pretty well written from what I've seen of it, and it's just it seems like it would be fun reading, and it might also be like just something like helpful to read, intellectually and emotionally, and philosophically and wisdom based being. And then the short story collection for that month, I don't know if I picked one yet, actually. I think I might not have, and in that case, who knows, but it might be another Stephen King one. They might be Stephen King ones all the way until May, or in May as well, actually, perhaps. But anyway, Stephen King or not, I'm also, and then I have, the poet is Emily Dickinson for February. I thought of picking a female poet to alternate, and also just, Emily Dickinson. She seems a little February-ish, I don't know. I thought of picking Sylvia Plath, and I do like Sylvia Plath a lot, but I ended up going with Emily. Okay, and then Yusef Komunyakaa is my poet for March, and you might say, wow, Matt, you're really going representation, aren't you? And it's like, actually, with Yusef, it's really just like, he seems to be like a really cool poet, and his poem Thanks is still just really mind-blowing. I remember it being described to me and like other students in an AP literature class that I was in the AP literature class I was in, and he said, he was like sort of describing the poem, and he said something like, the poem Thanks, Komunyakaa, or he's just like saying thanks for like the hand grenade or something, and like basically he's saying like thanks for like this light that's glinting off of like the tripwire, otherwise I would have died, basically. Like it's sort of like a Vietnam setting poem where he's saying thanks for various things in sort of like a wistful way that sort of like really has a sense of gravity and darkness. And then finally, reading-wise, unless I'm forgetting something, is I'm going to institute a Shakespeare Thursdays, and that's the third Thursday of every month. I'm going to watch a Shakespeare play, or, watch a movie of one, which I think some of the movies anyway have like the full plays. Although if it's not the full play, I guess I'll just watch like a performance somehow, like maybe a YouTube performance, although probably one posted by the stage company. If not, then I suppose I wouldn't watch it. Or, whatever. But Benjamin McAvoy said something about, like, Shakespeare plays are really meant to be watched, not read. But he likes, he praises the Shakespeare. But, and other things, I have exercise days scheduled. Those are going to be going to the gym. I think that's Monday, Tuesday, and Fridays of each week, or of most of the weeks, starting in January of each week. It's a little scrambled a bit in December, but yeah. And push-ups,